I've played a lot of different gigs in my life, mostly music. I've done a few MCing gigs. About 2 years ago, I did an MCing gig. My buddy came over and he said, we're doing this fundraiser for this dog shelter. And you walk dogs and you think you're funny. Would you come do it? And I said, well, what does it pay? And he was like, well, there'll be a deli tray and a vodka bottle. And I was like, sold. It was the biggest paying gig of my life, actually, ironically. So I was like, what's the details on the gig? You know, I'm curious. And he said, well, there's going to be a raffle to raise money for the fundraiser, and dancing, and guitar bearers playing. And I said, guitar bear. This was like 2 years ago where guitar bear was like Elvis. Like, he was a huge, huge deal at the time. So I was like, great. I'd love to like do the gig. Basically, like any gig, you show up a couple hours before, you hang out in the green room, you talk to the other performers. So we get around. First thing that's interesting about guitar bear, no one calls him like, hey, Mike. And then it's like, oh, who's Mike? Oh, Mike's guitar bear. Everyone that refers to guitar bear refers to him as guitar bear. Like, there's never a sense, the third wall is never broken with the guitar bear. So we're hanging out, and I was like, when is guitar bear coming? I'm really excited to meet him. And the guy's like, well, here's the thing about guitar bear. I booked him through his agent. He may come, he may not come. And I was like, what do you mean he doesn't come? Like, is there a financial exchange? He was like, oh yeah. He's going to pay 2 hours for $200. And I was like, he agreed to it, right? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, well, then no question, he's showing up. And he's like, well, guitar bear just kind of shows up or doesn't, whether he has the gig or not. I've heard of one other person doing this in my life, a musician, and that man is Paul McCartney. So basically, in booking legacy, you have Paul McCartney and guitar bear. So basically, the show starts, and I'm like kind of getting nervous. Like, where's guitar bear? Where's guitar bear? And which sounds funny if you say it 3 times fast. Also, I just realized that. And they're like, we don't know if he's going to show up or not. So I go up and do my first little monologue, announce what's going on through the night. I get off, there's dancing. I'm about to go up the second time, and I'm like, should I say something that like guitar bar may not be here? And they were like, no, we don't want to disappoint, and maybe he'll show, and maybe he won't. But we got to go on with the show. So I went up again. And after that, the second segment, the producer of the show came up to me and said what every producer of a show I've ever been a part of says, and that's the phrase, just a few things. Which is never like, you're doing an awesome job and you have a huge cock. It's always like, dude, you can't stop drinking, you gotta stop drinking on stage and like staring at girls' breasts. It's too much. So anyway, I went into the second round, go back up, go down. My friends are in the main area, so at that point I'm just hanging. And I go to the bathroom and I come out, and there's guitar bear plugging in. And he's got the guitar hat on, the bear. You guys seen him, right? You guys all know guitar bear? He's already plugged in, he's rocking. And I was like, oh, I feel relieved that guitar bear has made it. So he played these 2 hours. The guy is just destroying it. Michael Jackson. He's a really sick player. Have you ever seen him play? He's sick. So he finishes his set. I'm hammered at this point, and the green room was upstairs, overlooking the venue. And so I see him walk up the stairs from the room, and I'm gonna get up there because this guy's like a crackhead. He's one of these things. He's a diva. I bet he's bitter and has played in bands his whole life, and I'm bitter. Maybe we'll mix together and talk about bitterness. So I go up there and say, hey, guitar bear, it's really nice to meet you. And I look in his hand, he's got the money for the gig, and Guitar Bear turns to me and just goes, and walks off.